Hello, my fabulous humans. I am here and I'm looking forward to today and all the other days to have male say. I'm going to introduce my guest. He's here, he's ready for you guys. I don't know how I feel about this guy. You know, the comments and the feedback that I'm getting about him is is interesting. It makes me wonder if it's safe to even have a conversation with him here. But I'm going to introduce my guest. Basically, before I even introduce my guest, let me just tell you about this space for those who are seeing this for the first time, because I just started this yesterday. So basically, this is a space for me to have conversations with men about whatever life, intimacy, black woman dating. There's no topic that's out of bounds with me. But the reason why is because I just feel like men need a voice and we just need to hear from them. We've been hearing a lot from the woman's perspective. So I think it's time for the black men to shine. Anyway, I'm going to introduce my guest. His name is Mike Masemola, and he is going live shortly. Let's see. Mike, are you here? Wait. Dana, how do I count you? Okay, there we go. It's counting you in. Uh, why is it only doing solo? Here you are. Say hi to everyone, Mike.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here.
Tell us about
I'm
yourself.
going to be grilled, so I look forward to it.
You look forward to being grilled. Why do you think your name was suggested, by the way, as my guest list? Because I posted who the ladies or whoever must just take my next guest, and your name came up. But when
Yes.
I was doing research about this guy, the feedback I'm getting, the ladies are like, "What him? He's this one is a male chauvinist. He's just, he's
Yeah.
anti-feminist, anti-female, anti. What's your story?"
you know, uh, Makabelo, it's. I think it's impossible unless if you're a sick individual, to be anti-females, as I find it to be quite sick to be anti-male. Uh, Regardless of what school of thought you might claim to subscribe to, that might justify it or from your perspective. Um,
Mm,
so I can never be anti-female. I think any black man who would say he hates women would be quite a mental case, um, and quite deeply disturbed. Would need
mm.
to look into that. You can never say that you hate women, and I expect no black women also to say they hate men, in as much as we've seen it happening. Um, so the problem I think comes in when you confront people and you confront issues in a manner that does not play into into the popular narratives.
Yeah. Okay,
So
before we dive deep into that, because I see that we are not going to stop here. So just tell us about what you do. Tell us about where people know you from. I'm sure your face is familiar to a lot of people, especially the ones that follow me. Just tell those who don't know about you what you do.
yeah, I'm the founder of Brownie Love.
What is Brownie Love?
Brownie Love is a is a is a platform to build a community. Initially, it started off as an initiative to build a a dating platform that is owned by Black people, 100% Black owned and so forth. Because we have these generic platforms that we see coming up for online dating, um, and we needed something that was of our own, right? So the journey started from there. Um, it quickly went up on Facebook due to an unforeseen and unanticipated need. It was sparked, and the pages were set up and so forth, the groups and so forth. Um, But then I saw immediately when it hit the ground that the need here was not um, so much dating, because everyone wanted dates. That was for sure. Everyone wanted to be in a relationship. That's for sure.
Mm,
That was not a hard nut to crack. But something that
mm.
was in the back of my mind throughout the years that I was thinking, working towards, setting up such a platform, was the conflict that we have between men and women. And one thing that stood out for me is that there's lack of truth and honesty between us.
Okay, that's
And
interesting. The conflict between men and women in terms of dating or just in the general sense of things? Like, where is the conflict
the conflict
usually in your?
the conflict comes from a general lack of honesty in terms of our interests.
Okay.
Um, there there's always there are always conflicts in a relationship that stem from selfish interests. There are always conflicts that stem from um, a a lack within ourselves, and in terms of our understandings, our knowledge, who we are as ourselves, and what we actually eventually want out of a relationship. Most of us don't even know ourselves when we go into relationships. We don't know what we stand for. We don't know what the mission is. We don't know if there's any point to us getting into a relationship. We
Mm,
just caught in this loop of wanting to be with someone and looking for
someone.
someone to make us feel XYZ. I
Mm,
want someone to make me feel loved, make me
mm.
feel wanted, make me feel like I'm the man, make me feel like I'm the woman, the queen, the whatever. So that looking for someone to fill the void is a strong reality to us as people, and that's as a result of not knowing ourselves. So we're not honest with one another, with
Mm.
our expectations, our realities, our desires, and we're not honest in terms of saying whether, with ourselves mainly, whether what we want is really something that is fruitful towards the next person or towards a relationship as a whole.
Yeah. So, in your observation, I mean, obviously, in this platform that you've designed, what, how do Black people date? Where are Black people getting it wrong versus white people, maybe from that context, instead of like from the gender context?
Well, since I'm not white, and
You designed a platform specifically for Black.
yeah,
Why specifically for Black?
because we as a community, we broken in many regards. As a community, we lacking in many regards. There are many
Mm,
things that have happened in our own histories, and as a result in the histories of our families, that have really put us out of alignment, right? There are many things that are at play in our communities that create toxic people, toxic um, outcomes and realities for the individuals, for the family, for the community, and so forth and so on.
mm,
And we act as if those things are normal. So
mm,
uh, 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 there are many things we can criticize white people for, and so on and so forth. And we perhaps there are many things we can compare ourselves to white families, and say, no, if white families do this, we should do it too. Good or
mm,
bad, perhaps, who knows? We'll need to go into that. But you know, like they say, in order to solve your own issue, you should probably realize that you've got a problem first, right?
mm,
And not
mm,
make comparisons with other people.
mm,
So
mm,
I don't approach it from making a comparison and saying, let's solve problems with white families.
mm.
I recognize the problems that we are having.
Because those are the only ones that we exposed to anyway. Those are the only ones that we are familiar with.
And those are the
Yeah.
ones that matter, because those are the things, the abnormalities that we accept as a reality, uh, that are causing the problems that we are having as individuals. From
Mm,
myself, my past, my parents, the neighborhood, or the village, or those types of things. And coming
mm,
into the urban landscape, what challenges meet me at the end of the day? What happens when this ingredient that is myself comes into contact with these other ingredients in the urban environment? What do
mm,
they create? How do women
mm,
begin to behave? Here's a guy who's coming from uh, Hamarishani to Polokwane, from Polokwane to Johannesburg. How do
mm.
those dynamics influence who I am at the end of the day and how I view certain things?
Yeah,
So we cannot deal with it from any other perspective except our
but our
perspective.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. So, do you think women trust, do you think Black women specifically trust Black men to lead them, whether it's from a dating perspective or what is your observation with it? Do you think Black women trust Black men to lead them? Because you had said we were selfish. Your previous point was that we were selfish in how we date. We're not communicating our intentions clearly.
Yeah. I don't
Whose
think.
job is it to to get the clarity in terms of how we date? Is it not the man that leads? Is it
Here's the thing with leadership. The assumption about leadership is that someone ought to make you do something, right? Um, there's a very open-ended way that we have relationships with women. I see women having these expectations that go from providing to leadership as concepts, um, and very open-endedly so, without any personal responsibility at the end of the day. You cannot.
what do you mean? How would we have personal responsibility? What kind of responsibility would we have with wanting you as the man to provide or to lead?
Okay, so the reality when it comes to to someone leading you,
Mm.
you have the personal responsibility to want to be led, and you have the responsibility to allow someone who is trying to lead you.
Oh, the problem is the allowing.
You cannot, you first of all, we cannot begin with a relationship that requires a man to submit to you and to your whims and your wants, out of, and positioning it as a natural need for a woman to have a man provide. We cannot, also as men, we do not contest the need for a man to provide. However, there's a problem when we take a need to provide and we pervert it with the whims and wants of an individual. So if the whims of the and wants of the individual takes precedence over the natural aspect of things, it becomes a problem, because then you are demanding from the onset how he must approach you, what he must say
Mm.
when he approaches you. And if he does not say those particular things or does not come up with particular items, he is not
Lines,
leading
yeah.
you.
Yeah, if he
If he
doesn't take me on this certain date and
correct.
it pans
If
out like this, do you think then we're expecting too much from men as women? Should we relook at how we fish maybe, or should we relook at how we decide on who to partner up with? Do you think
if we can just hold that question a sec. Uh, if we want a man to lead, the relationship that we're going to have to you guys are going to have with men is one that is very open to allowing a man to come to you in a manner that is himself. The problem is that when we've already put these things that we call standards, and we
mm,
want certain lines to be said in a particular way that is formed by a certain opinion that you hold, with certain gifts that you see as gifts of love or that indicate love, according to the popular view, that a rose indicates love, you are associating it with love. Other people are associating with cars, other associating it with trips to Dubai, you know,
mm,
and they say that's love. Um, and the reality is that we are far from love when we're dealing with gifts. Uh, Gifts are tokens of appreciation; they are not obligations. So,
mm.
whenever we
We've
we
made them obligations?
we've made them obligations,
Is
And
it wrong of us to do that though? I mean, if you guys don't do this, then are you saying we must?
no,
Where
it's wrong when you make it
where's
an
the idea
excuse.
of African romance? Can do when do black men romance us as black women, or is
Romance,
it not?
romance
Are
as
we
an idea,
asking too much when we want to be romanced?
romance as an idea. Remember, I said we have to deal with ourselves first. The point I was getting to is that you, as an individual, as a lady, as a man as well, you have to understand yourself and why you want certain things and be honest with it. The
Mm,
idea of romance is not, it's not our own.
mm,
Romance as a culture and a romance as an idea that has
mm.
formed a culture that has been commercialized, right? That's why you have Valentine's. That's why you have people selling roses. That's why you have people selling certain items and chocolates and certain things that they know that they've commercialized it. It's an
So how's
industry.
romance outside of the commercial? What? How do you offer romance outside of the commercial norms
Would it not be
as a man?
okay? I'll give you a story that I like. Um, it is not. It's neither African nor here nor there, but it has a principle in it of how one shows romance. It's when you read the s- the story of a prophet called Muhammad.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to interrupt you there. There's a comment that says your volume is low. Is there a way you can put it up, or this is as high as it goes?
Now we can try and put it up. How's that?
Okay, I think that's much better then.
Is it
Well,
okay
now I
now?
can hear you perfectly, but it's clear
Yeah.
that the audience is struggling a bit with you.
Is it
Yes,
working?
so
A lot. Hopefully it's not a lot because right here we peaking it.
yeah, no, then you have to speak up, I guess.
Yeah.
So back to your idea of
So
African romance, yes.
so it's neither African nor but it's just an idea of showing romance where money is not involved
Mm,
or gifts are not involved. Um, a prophet called Muhammad is reported to have with his one of his wives. She drank from a cup of tea
mm,
when they were having dinner, and as a gesture of compassion, when she handed him the cup to drink from that cup, he said to her, "Show me where your lips touched. I want to drink from that spot." Now that is a gesture of being romantic towards your partner. It is about it is
I'm sorry, I'm
no,
gonna laugh.
no, that's fine. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. That is a gesture of being romantic. You see,
How are you
the
being romantic
romance.
with that?
Here I go. Here I go. Romance
Mm,
is not an item. Romance
okay.
and love on its own is an intention. It is showing your intention towards a person and the degree that you appreciate someone at.
Okay.
A physical gift that I give you is not the
It's an
romance.
extension.
It's an extension. It's an
Okay.
indication of appreciation.
Appreciation. Oh, okay. So now, Rona, as black woman, or as a black woman myself, are you saying that we have taken the the sincerity of romance and we have now uh made it what? We've made it.
Obligatory, entitled to the items or the extensions of that you associate with romance. Remember, you have to ask yourself, why is it that I think a rose is romantic? Because as much as you think a rose is romantic, 10 other women think something else is romantic, and they
Mm,
have their own reasons as well.
yeah.
So who sold you the idea that the rose is romantic? And
Mm,
why does this man have to approach you with a rose in the first place? Why does he have to come to you with a bunch of things for you in order for you to appreciate him? And we've
mhm,
reduced things to that level where if he does not come with that, then he's not man enough.
mm.
And we come to a point where we said, no, long gone are the days where a man can just come and propose to you. He must have
Mm,
something. Now,
yeah.
these men that now must have something in order to approach you. As they remember, there's also time. You come of age. There's a time when you are ready to start dating, and that time that naturally comes when you are ready to start dating is the same pattern that life follows, where it leads to you having, a life partner, having children, and so forth and so on. He misses that time because he goes through this rejection of women who don't see him as a person because he does not have anything. Once he has something, now he's going to turn it around on you,
Mm.
right? Not
So
all
are
men,
we?
not all men, as much as some of the
Mm,
things that we are saying are not, we're not speaking
mm,
about all women, right?
mm,
But not all men. But then this is the reality. But then unfortunately, it's a growing reality. And
mm.
no man,
Yeah.
men are not,
So
men don't have appreciation anymore.
yeah, yeah, I can hear that. So what you're saying in essence is that for you to be taken as to be taken seriously as a man, you need to have acquired a certain status
Yes.
in the community, right? And only then can you approach a
Not in the
woman
community
and
per se, any economic in the economic
in an
community.
economical sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So for a man to even approach a woman, a man must show materialistically where he
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
Without that, he's not. So let's turn this around. For a woman to to even be approached, must you also not be um, of a certain caliber? Must you also not? Because it's not like Lilo Nalita Mayali, Sheila the Fail Bob, or Maiki, or whoever. If I didn't have the curves that I have or the beauty that I have, you wouldn't even look at me. So we are also on the same boat, technically. You need to prove your status. I need to somehow look a certain way and sound a certain way for a man to even approach me.
You're
Would you
talking about
say,
look. You're talking
yeah,
look. You're talking
yeah,
look
obviously for a
versus.
man, it would be materialistic, but I'm saying, let's be realistic. Those men, libo, nobody status, who have acquired a status now that is acceptable to, according to whatever standards you think, Libona won't go and approach a woman who's not of a certain class. So we acquire class as women. We're forced to be of a certain class in order to be approached. Do you understand? I wasn't
No,
approached back
that
then
is
when
not.
I
That is not
didn't.
factual.
Ah.
That is not factual. Yes, it happens. That is not factual. You asked the
So
question
what you're
yesterday.
saying about
You,
material is also not factual. Factual.
no, no.
What you're saying,
That
Hore,
is
you need
you.
to
You're
have a
not
certain
comparing.
status. It's also
You're
not
not
factual.
comparing. You're not comparing. Like I was trying to
I'm not.
interject earlier on. You're talking
Mm.
about looks and standard, two different things.
Those are two different things. But I'm saying, as a woman, I have the pressure to look a certain way in order to attract men. And you are saying, as a man, you need to have something in order to attract the female.
How does that pressure that you're speaking about put it on the same par for me with the pressure that a man has in terms of
I get when
economy?
you said women are now saying, "Hore, you need to have certain standards when you approach a woman. Your hi needs to be a certain way, your conversations needs to be a certain way, in. And I'm saying, for it to even get there, I need to have a certain look for you to even approach my inbox, isn't it?
I don't particularly think so. I think
Yeah, like
no. Here's what's the brother's name that you interviewed yesterday?
Linda and
Right, brother. Linda said you asked him a question and you said to him, do men? Is there any woman that a man would not sleep with? Granted, the question was on a sexual basis,
mm, mm,
was based on sexuality, right,
mm.
or sexual interest rather. And his answer was what?
No,
Exactly. Now,
yeah.
I link that with
But
the
your
following:
approach of a
beauty,
relationship has standards,
beauty,
isn't it? As a man.
beauty. But then we jump in between different things now. We talked
Mm-mm.
about hold on. We talked about the how women receive men and why, um, where we are right now in terms of women, what women look for in men. It's it's everything mostly everything economic
mm,
than anything else.
mm,
Therefore, putting the men under pressure to have something material
mm,
in order to present to the woman
mm,
by hook or crook in order to
mm.
get the relationship.
In order to even romance her, it needs to be
It
materialistic.
it needs
Yes.
to be materialistic, right?
Mm.
Your response was, but then the woman is under pressure as well to look a certain way in order for
And
her to
present
attract,
himself a certain way in order for
present
you to
herself
even be attracted to her. Mm.
to a certain way. But then you are talking more physical, right?
Hmm. Not
You're
just
not
physical, in
mentioning.
terms of character as well. I need to carry myself in a certain way and be of a certain class to be attractive to a modern man. Do you understand?
Okay, so let me correct you. Do you know that Checkers does not have old gogos working there anymore? Do you know
I
that
don't know.
Pick and Pay in the aisles, the ladies that work there, very
Mm.
beautiful ladies. Do you know how many men go after those ladies?
No.
Many. Much to the answer of saying that no, it's not a matter of class. It's not a matter of standards. Women are not under any pressure, especially coming from men, to look a certain way. Women are under pressure in
I'm
terms.
gonna pose this question between the two of us. I'm gonna pose this question back to the audience because none we're
It,
not clearly not gonna
right,
agree on this.
that's
So
fine.
I'm gonna
So
ask the audience: are women under pressure, as far as you know, to look a certain way? Do we have physical? Do we have pressure as women to be physically in a certain way in class, and then
to be of a certain standard in terms of looks,
looks?
uh,
Yeah, looks and class.
and
Yeah.
presentation towards, for the sake of men, right?
Mm,
So my answer again: if women are under pressure, it is not necessarily um, due to men, right? A man, like any human being, will go for something that looks beautiful, right?
okay.
Beauty at the end of the day is not determined in our eyes by a particular standard.
Mm,
There's no standard that we can say this is the Beyonce standard,
okay.
right? There are no layers like that. It does not
Okay.
exist. Um, a lady who Beyonce herself tomorrow might walk down the street without the outfits that she wears on stage, but
Mm,
still be a beautiful lady, right? Just as much as going into Pick and Pay, you might meet a beautiful lady who works at the till, who works on the floor, whatever the case might be.
mm.
What Women are under pressure to look a certain way because of women. You
Not
guys
because of
compare
men.
yourself. You compare yourself. You
Not
compare
because
yourself
of
to a
men.
woman. No, no.
So
I'm
when you
trying to
ask a
explain.
man,
No,
when
no.
you
No.
ask a man, tell me
Let me
about your type, they will
let
say
me
ass. I want a big ass. I want. Is it not you who are saying those things?
let me get somewhere. In terms of looks, what you see, the standards of beauty and attire, the outward appearance of women, it's influenced by the fashion market. It's influenced by other women who buy into certain styles, and other women want those items. They want, you fall in love personally with that particular look that you go
Mm,
for. You don't go
mm,
for that look because Mike likes it. You
mm.
go for that look because you liked it.
Okay.
And there are other factors to it, which are factors that have to do with how you see other people reacting in the society when they see certain looks. Therefore,
Okay.
you go for those looks. It's no
Mm,
different than a man who dresses in a particular way. If the
mm.
fashion of the day is to be in skinny jeans, brown shoes,
And tight
brown
pants.
belt, yeah, tight pants, brown shoes, brown belt, tight top. Even if you don't go to the gym, there's what we call help me sterk. Do you know
No,
what that
sir. No.
help? It's in Afrikaans. It's a term that we use to say help me look strong. You know, it's a shirt. It looks, you just
Okay.
look kind of muscular in it, kind of,
Muscular. Yeah, una
because
le
it's tight.
muscles nyana.
Because it's tight, right?
Mm.
So you will go for that look. Why? Because you saw other men dress in it. You saw the reaction they had in the society, and you went for it.
I saw
It's
the
not,
attention I got and I
yeah,
love it
it's
and I
not
followed that.
because a specific woman went said to you that you should wear that. You liked it. You
Mm.
chose it. Take personal responsibility for that. And this is what we
Okay.
don't do. We don't take
Mm.
personal responsibility for ourselves.
Mm.
Like you
Mm.
said, we have to deal with me before I externalize certain things. I have to deal with me. I have to deal
Mm.
with, why am I dressing in a particular way?
Mm.
What are the reactions that I'm getting that I'm liking? What do I associate all these things with? As much as we're going to say, what do I associate romance with? Right.
Mm.
So if you want men at the end of the day, um, I'm going back to the point, the question that we started off with. We cannot associate romance
Mm.
with the pure intentions of a man. We cannot
Mm. Mm.
associate items with the pure intentions of a man.
Yeah.
If a man who has sincerity, you'll see it if you are a sincere person.
Yeah.
Because many
So
sincere men have been kicked to the side because they do not come with certain things. They just
mm.
came to you and said, KB, you know what? XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Can we just spend some time together and get to know each other?
Yeah.
Right. And
So I'm
because
gonna
he didn't have certain things, he didn't make it.
Mike, tell me, what attitude about us as Black women makes us less attractive to men, especially when it comes to dating? What attitude about us makes us unattractive? I know I've heard on these streets a lot of men saying, "Hore, Black women and their attitude," and we don't quite discuss what attitude is this that you're talking about. Hangata bana, what attitude is it that we have that is making it hard for you to lead us as Black men?
If you come from classically African good home or neighborhood, and especially if you are within the ages of 30 and above, actually, I would even say late 20s and above, you know what it is to have manners. You know what it is to speak with properly with people. You know that your speech or what you say does not need to be extended into a physical expressions or some kind that might be deemed negative towards the
Mm,
person that you are speaking to. You know that when you come to a certain place, you greet people when you walk through the door. When you find people seated somewhere, you are the one who's arriving, you greet them.
mm,
You know that when there are visitors, this is what you do. This is what you don't do. You know that when you are a visitor at a particular place, this is how you behave. This is not how you behave.
mm.
However, it seems that we our sisters have really gone away from that. And I think the Western influence that really does not conform to those things. If you look at things, most white people are still mesmerized by the cultures, the behaviors, and the norms of us black people
Mm.
because they're not as
They
grounded.
don't exist in the world. Mm, mm,
They don't exist in their world and they're not as grounded. But we are
mm.
forsaking those types of principles to 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 embrace sporadic type of trends.
Yeah, but you're taking it far.
No,
In a sense, are
okay.
you getting there? Are you getting to the
I'm
point
getting
that I
there.
want?
I'm getting
Okay,
there. I'm getting there.
okay.
So when when you take all those principles out, and
Mm,
we have our sisters now taking things out of context, where uh, we're not communicating, but more talking back to a person. and not really the fact that you are trying to make a point, but doing it with a particular attitude. When I'm saying what you say does not need to translate into other forms of communication, body language, and all these other things. Or
mm,
the fact that it's doing that, it tells a person that you are in a certain state of mind that is not respectful towards them. You would get a slap from your mother or your father if you talk to them and you roll your eyes. But then that was not reserved for adults, it was reserved for your partner as well.
mm,
If you are talking to your partner, make your point, no problem.
mm,
Especially, we're not living in back then. I think men have matured. We've learned a lot of things from the needs of about the needs of women and the needs of how to communicate in a better way in general. But you cannot take away all these principles that you were taught at home and adopt new principles that are more secular and more urban and expect to have
mm,
a good African type of family or relationship with a black man. And most people mistaken that for misogyny when a guy says, "Hi, kganto bolela jwang le nna?" you know.
mm,
But then he's checking you the same way that anyone else from your home would have said, "No, make your case, but
mm,
don't be extra about it. There's no need for all of that." So
mm.
we
What's
learned
being extra is
well being.
so. So when I make a case, what's being extra?
I think like I said, the attitude, we are talking about attitude.
So
If your posture at the end of the day is one of
is it
throwing
our loudness? Is it what is it that what exactly is this attitude? Is it speaking over you like I'm doing now?
no, look, uh, you I think you know when you are being demeaning.
Okay, so it's the attitude of
Yes, you
being
you know you
dismissive
know
and
at
demeaning.
at any time when you are being demeaning and dismissive,
Mm,
you know it.
mm,
At any time when you are being deliberately rude, malicious, you know it.
mm, mm,
At any time when you have the attitude that he can't do anything to me, you
mm,
know it.
mm,
But then you persist. Most sisters persist in it because they hide behind a thing that says, "No, he can't do anything to me."
mm,
Right? He can't do anything to me, or at least he shouldn't do anything to me.
mm.
And
So
you kind of use that. So back to personal responsibility. Whatever you are
mm,
doing and saying at the end of the day, whatever feeling is in your heart that's burning in your chest, and the and you projecting it into your mind, and you're willing to go to that extent, when you're being disrespectful, right?
mm,
So a guy will tell you you are being disrespectful, "O bolela le nna gampe, you are doing xyz, and more times than not, it will continue,
mm.
right?
So is it the same with men, or is this just does this just apply for women? Is it do men also have an attitude? Can I also say as a woman, "Ubulela le nna hampe, Mike"?
Of course,
Uh,
of
okay,
course. You look.
and you would be receptive to it.
Let's reduce things to this. You need to receive me as a human being. I need
Mm,
to receive you as a human being.
okay, that's the
Before
basis
any
of it. Any
before
gender,
any
any
expectations,
okay.
before you talk about romance, before I talk about these are the things that I want from a woman, and you should be classic things. You should be cooking. You should do this. You should do that. You understand? I should accept you as a human being first, and
Mm,
accepting you as a human being means that I'm going to be compassionate towards you,
mm,
which by default says I need to listen to you. I need to
mm,
hear what you're about. I need to hear what you're thinking. And regardless of what I think of myself, at the end of the day, I owe you that respect as a human being to listen to you
mm,
and to be receptive to what you are saying. You understand?
yeah,
I don't need to agree. I don't
yeah.
need to pamper you,
Mm,
more especially where it's not relevant. But
mm,
I have the obligation to listen to you.
mm.
It's as simple as
Mike,
that.
let's get to your most unpopular thoughts. Yesterday when I was speaking to you, you had mentioned hore feminist, and this is where things are about to get rough. But you mentioned hore feminists are a an easy lay. And before we even dive into that, can you give me your personal view on feminists and their future, maybe in the modern world, especially in the dating context?
Okay. Before I answer, let me correct your first statement. I didn't say feminists are an easy lay. I said men who are who act as though they are pro feminism or
Mm.
feminism. They do it whilst they use it at the same time to lay with the very same women.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what you said. I'm sorry about that. You just say that. So
Yeah,
elaborate on that, and also where you stand with the issue of feminists.
feminist the feminist movement in general is a matter of equality when it comes to economics, social and civil rights.
That's where it ends.
It's a matter of treat a woman with respect the same way you would want her to treat you with respect. It's a matter of do unto others as you'd like to do as you'd like them to do unto you. It's as simple as that. It also says it's a matter of women earning equal pay, having
Mm.
equal rights in the work environment, the economic environment, and so forth. There's
Mm.
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
You are pro that.
I am 100% pro that.
Okay.
As much as I hate working and being shortchanged on my work,
Mm.
why should another human being or a
Settle
woman
for that.
settle
Mm.
for that?
Mm.
Why should she settle for that? You understand? If there are abolition facilities that have been fitted for men, why should they not have facilities that are befitting for women?
Mm.
Why should we have unreasonable standards for women in workplace or any other place for no
Mm.
other reason simply because a man says so? There are
Mm.
some things that yes, classically it's like a man says so, but
Mm.
that cannot be. It cannot. If I had I have sisters. I have many sisters. I would not like them to be treated any less for being women.
Mm.
So I cannot be against those principles that I mentioned of feminism or the
Okay.
feminist movement. But
But where do you differ?
we have to come to a point now when we realize something. If if there are elements that we can point to and perhaps name them toxic masculinity,
Mm.
then there is a emergence and a surge, as far as I'm concerned, of toxic feminism,
Mm.
where women can say um, men are trash, and you ask the question: if men are trash, is your father also trash? No, no, my father is not trash because that's my father. But you realize
Mm.
the generalized statement of saying that men are trash,
Mm.
and every time a man, because it's these are the trending concepts and words.
Mm.
Every time we talk about men are trash and men say something, and your attitude at the end of the day is to retaliate without reason, but to trash and belittle what the men are saying, then that's toxic.
Mm.
We cannot have that. We cannot
Mm.
have a society where we say no. Let's focus only on women and women issues, and let's not deal with men.
Mm.
If we're going to balance the society, then we have to say no, there are certain things that have gone wrong. Let's fix those things. Let's establish a balance and let's deal with now coming to some type of equilibrium between the genders.
Yeah.
So
So would
we
mm.
cannot take we cannot be speaking about the rape of men and then women keep
Mm.
quiet. We
Mm.
Because the rape of men includes the rape of your own children, the rape of
Mm.
your own
Mm.
sons.
Mm.
and you don't want to talk about the statistics of the children who are
mm,
being
mm,
molested and raped
mm,
because you feel you there's this thing in your chest that's burning that says, ah, we've been long suffering. Our mothers have
mm,
gone through that. I'm not
mm,
dealing with your mother. I'm dealing with you today.
mm,
As much as don't deal with me in the context of my father did whatever he did back then, and his generation did what they did back then. If our generation is trying to correct things, and our generation is trying to adhere to to new norms and standards, then treat us in the context of that.
mm,
Don't speak to us in the context of our forefathers when it comes to things that were done wrong, and then when it comes to things that are selfish in nature, you want to speak to us in the context of our fathers as well.
mm.
Men used
So
to
would
do this. Men used to take care
yeah,
of
I
women.
mean,
Men used to do
mm,
X, Y,
mm,
Z, X, Y, Z, because it's now befitting to your wants and your whims. So
mm,
it's toxic when we want to victimize one another. It's
mm, mm.
toxic when we want to abuse and use one another. And that's what I
Okay.
don't like about this. I don't hate feminism. I hate an opportunistic nature of individuals
Mm,
who want to hijack something that is a good movement that
mm,
is meant to put people in their correct place in terms of
mm.
these benefits that we have been
Equality, yeah.
enjoying.
Mm,
We've been enjoying these benefits alone for the most part, and mind you, in the context of our race, it hasn't been all of us men who have been enjoying it because
mm,
we were in the mines, we were in the farms, we were basically in slavery.
mm,
So when you tell men that your fathers have enjoyed X, Y, Z, you must also put into context who are you talking about?
mm, mm.
Because
So would
ours
you
were
say,
in offices and enjoying.
yeah, yeah. So would you say that the movement, the modern feminist, is generalizing men, and also, um, would you say that men are now made to feel ashamed for being men as a result of the movement? Do
Those
you
men,
feel the intention is to make you feel ashamed for being a man? Men are trash, men are
yes, I think there's a very strong element of shaming men, and there's a very strong culture among women of shaming men,
mm, on the basis of them being men.
and on the basis of them being men.
Mm,
Mind you, some people would say the scorn of a woman, X, Y, Z. No, no, it's not the scorn of a woman. I like to hold people personally accountable. You
mm,
need to be accountable as an individual. You need to take personal responsibility as an individual for your toxicity at the end of the day. So if if we have a culture from women or a certain group of women that belittle men on the basis of income, on the basis of status, on the basis of their sexual performance, on the
mm,
basis of their biological structure or fortitude, um, then there's something very seriously wrong with that. We cannot have women, African women, talking about how they are queens, how they need to be taken
goddesses.
queens and goddesses, and yet you have the nerve to publicly talk about how someone's penis is small. That's
Mm,
ridiculous.
mm,
That's shameful.
mm, mm,
You you don't do
mm.
those types of things.
It's
And
shaming the other gender. It's not promoting the one.
but
Yeah,
when we talk about shaming and so forth, body shaming, anything, we mainly speak about it in the context of women.
of women. Mm.
Why?
Do men shame each other? Do men body shame, and or is it that we do it to? Is it us women who are doing it to you men, or
It's mainly women doing it to men. It's mainly women doing it to men. And women have adopted this. Um, it has always been there in the thread of time. It has always been there. However, in the modern age, you know, saying that we are vocal, we have a voice now, we need to fight for a voice and all of that. It seems like these voices that we're fighting for, and Some of us are saying yes, women need to have a voice, but it seems like these voices that we're fighting for are being abused.
Mm,
They're being abused because at the end of the day, we cannot fight for equality and for things to be normal, just normal.
mm.
And then we have people who want to use that and talk about men are trash, men are animals. I wish men would die. These are the comments that I read on a daily basis.
Mm.
We cannot
But
have. How do you love me
as a
as
man,
as a man? You understand? If part of your social circle and part of your mindset agrees and to things such as men being trash, such as men being useless. How do you love me as a man when you hide as a woman the reality of other women's wickedness?
but do women not have a right to be angry at men, considering the things that are happening that we're seeing? Is our anger misdirected, or do you feel that feminists are angry at men that have done things to them, or where is this anger thing? Are we misplacing it, or do we not have a right to be angry at men, considering that they are abusing and raping us and really not treating us like equals when
They
it
are
comes to
abusing us. They are abusing us. Who is they?
we are not abusing ourselves.
No,
We
no,
are not
but
raping ourselves.
I know that you're not raping yourself as a woman, right? And I'm speaking in the singular. As a woman who has
Mm,
been raped, you're not raping yourself. I have women in my family that have been raped.
mm.
It's a very serious thing. It's
So would
extremely serious.
those women trust you as a man, even though when now you are a family member, even though, like, how do we filter the men to not trash and the men to trash?
Okay. So at the end of the day, we cannot disregard the fact that there are certain um, crimes that are mostly perpetuated by men.
Mm.
Maybe let's start there because someone is gonna jump out and say, you're
Take
belittling
this out of
men,
context, yeah.
you're doing
Mm,
this, you're doing that. No, we're not saying that. However, those elements or groupings that hijack the whole feminist movement
mm,
with other intentions. They position things in a manner that is somewhat deliberately unfavorable towards men, with
mm,
deliberately so. So here we go. Now you have you have uh, 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 statistics
mm.
that are not being spoken about. You have incidences that are not being
And are
spoken
not
about.
being spoken about, and those I assume are from men being victims.
Yes,
Mm,
you have many that men are victims,
mm.
and we want to focus our whole energy on women,
On a girl
and we want
child. Mm,
we want to allow those who have the capacity or the powers to direct the narrative to push us in that direction as a collective and specifically as African people.
mm,
And they work on the emotions of women to say, react in this way because it's a fact. So,
mm,
you're using a fact that women are being raped. We cannot deny it. Women
mm,
are being raped.
mm,
But putting so much emphasis on it, you're putting
mm,
so much emphasis on it that it's out of context,
mm,
and it shadows or in fact wipes off the table other realities.
mm.
Now,
And mm, I
now,
also find that, sorry to interject, I also find, Hore, when mm, the frustration maybe as well from these movements is not to say it's just shaming men, it's saying men are not coming out and saying this is wrong. You know, the voice of a man saying this is wrong. It seems men keep quiet and not see this as an act, as if they are supporting the act that is
Yes.
caused by, you know, and maybe that's where the biggest frustration is, and that's where
So men not coming out and saying it's wrong against them or wrong against women.
what is being done to women by other men is wrong. So men not standing up to the men who are the perpetrators and saying,
Where do we
why
get
is it that,
get the
why
net?
is it that, hmm?
Where do we get that narrative that men are not standing up?
No, I'm saying, Jorge, maybe that's where the anger is because, yes, there are a few that would say something, but let's be honest. How many men are standing with women and saying, voicing their opinion as loud as they would, got chiefs, pirates?
How many of the men you know have the platform to go on media and be as loud
Mm,
as they are in private on media? Do they own the facilities to project these voices? Do they own the facilities to project themselves being loud and saying that they are against this thing?
mm,
The voice that you hear is the voice that is put out there.
mm,
We are not the ones putting it out there on behalf of you guys, as much as we are not the ones who with the capacity to put ourselves out there fighting against
mm,
or voicing that we're against this.
mm,
On
mm,
Women's Month, you'll see for a brief moment, maybe, big maybe,
mm,
some popular voice in the community, activists or the activist community. They will put some popular voice there who will say, "No, I'm against this, and men need to do this, men need to do that." And usually speaking from a somewhat of a self-sacrificing voice on behalf of men.
mm. So here's an interesting question for you. This one is from Muzuzuki Lene. I don't know if you can read the screen. Can you read it? Are you able to read it? Do you see
I
the comments on your side?
probably
No?
on a bit. It's probably moved on, but you can give me the question.
Oh, okay. The question is the men who are victims, who are they victims to? I don't know the stats on that, but I think it's worth looking into as the dynamic changes where they are predominantly victims to other men. Let me throw a spanner on into the wheels. This is what he's saying: where they are victims to crimes committed by women against, what are the stats on that and what are the circumstances on that? So this is back to your point as well, the other story that is not told, the story of men being victims as well, you know, the stats that we don't see on boy child being molested or boy, you know, and this is what the movement is, I suppose, not taking into consideration. The movement of feminists is not taking into consideration the men that are fallen victims
Yeah.
to women, you know.
Yes. I
So
think
how?
for stat, I wouldn't have that at the moment, and it would be
Mm,
an injustice for me to throw it into the wind. But excuse me. Certainly, there are women who molest children.
mm,
Every time it comes out, it happens as though it is a an anomaly and shock, and it dies down.
mm,
Don't treat it the same way as when a man rapes a woman or even kills her. We don't treat it the same way.
mm. And
The
this is
news,
where we're not being equal.
and this is where we're not being equal. So
Mm,
you can imagine what happens in the hearts and the minds of men who have fallen victim to women
mm,
in a social setting, in a domestic environment, or whichever other.
mm,
Yesterday in the Brownie Love group, there was a question asked by a mother who was
mm,
asking advice from men about how does she spot the signs that her child is being sexually molested by an older woman. She has, I
mm,
think she said it's a 7-year-old son.
mm.
How does she spot the signs?
Mm.
Personally, I know of many men
We're
who
victims.
who uh, now know that they were victims
Mm.
because at age 5, 6, under 10, under consenting age, they w-
Mm.
they were involved with an older woman.
Without their consent as well, without
There isn't much to consent because it's
you're a
when
child. Yeah.
one, you're a child. Two, there's a certain masculinity attached to the sexuality of a man versus the value, some value attached to it from a woman's perspective. There's
Mm.
a man who has sex is a man, and this narrative exists in our community from both sides, from both genders. Right. If you go and tell your older brother that you had sex with this woman or this girl, you might get a pat on the back.
Mm.
Right. And if a woman wants to have sex with you and you're a younger male, it seems like a macho thing to do.
Mm.
But the reality is that there are many boys that are getting molested by women. And yes, we are not going to run away from the fact that there are many boys getting molested by men.
Mm.
There are many boys who whose sexuality, sense of sexuality has been compromised by the fact that they were molested by
Mm.
both men and women. And sexually now they have gone into a direction where they are now homosexual. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
Only when you
Yeah.
spend one on one with men do you understand the the wrongs that have been done to them.
Yeah.
Now when we
Look,
come
Mike, I wanted this to be an hour long. I see we just quickly running out of time. So, I mean, let me give you just 3 minutes extra to vocalize and maybe just tell us how do we equalize and give back the voices and the rights to men without how do we become feminist and still give you guys the same rights that we are fighting for and still give you the same privileges that we are fighting for? How do we balance um, how do we balance this act and this movement? Because what I'm thinking is if we don't, can you imagine 10 years from now or 20 years from now?
there will be no
Um,
relationships.
yeah, that's my biggest worry, Hore. We are just going to be enemies. There's no way that we'll work in harmony with black men um, and still get it right. How do we rebuild this without losing the privileges that we now get of equality and whatever? How do we work together and not against each other? How do we give each other equal voices? How do we give each other equal respect, equal privileges? How do we bring back nje, that harmony with all the genders?
I think one, we need to stop conforming to and jumping to these trending names that are given to things. We need to stop jumping onto this new movement called this new movement called that, because it distracts us from what we have. Our own movement as Africans. Our movement is called Ubuntu.
Mm,
The closer we can put to it, perhaps we can say human rights, because I cannot treat you in one way. I cannot want myself to be treated well and you to be treated in a bad way. We are different. You have needs as a female human
mm.
that are different from that of a man, and those needs must be catered for as a human being. Let's approach each other as human beings. Drop all these things of um, foreign ideas, and you need to learn the things that you believe in today. Try to learn where they come from. Don't just exercise them willy nilly because it's nice, it feels good. You're part of the crowd, you know. if somebody buys their wife a car, now you want to be romanced with the car. Find out what you're talking about. And when you're going into relationships, be before you even go into a relationship, be honest with yourself, man. Take some personal responsibility. You know, a lot of us have issues. You know, some of our issues come from our parents, how they taught us. Some of our issues come from us deviating from what our parents taught us, which was very good. Some of us, we know what is wrong, we know what is right. Innately, a human being knows when they are doing something right, when they are doing something wrong. It's just that you dismiss it in your mind and you create excuses for it. And you take no personal responsibility for yourself and your actions. And you expect someone else to love you as you are. Love me as I am. Which leads to my next point. You need to be a person who is always trying to improve and be progressive and fix your wrongs and learn. The same leader that you want to lead, you need to be able to say that I am not a leader, therefore I want a leader. I need a man who can lead. And I will know when he's doing wrong because wrong is wrong and I can see it. If the man starts beating me up, he's wrong. If the
Mm.
man spends money at the casino with alcohol, he's wrong. If the
If
man
a man is not
cannot,
supporting his child.
if he's not supporting his child,
Mm.
he's wrong. If I accept a man who has a child but he's not supporting his child, what else is he going to do to me and my
Mm.
child when I have a child?
Mm.
These things, they're not trigonometry. They're
Mm.
straightforward facts that you have to deal with. But if you are divided within yourself, if you are so apart of from yourself, and the person that exists in your head, you have multiple people and characters living in your head. You cannot have a normal relationship like that. That's why you have to be honest with yourself in order to
Mm.
have a good relationship with the next person. And this advice goes to both men and women.
Mm. Mm.
You cannot be a man and saying that um, I want to be married one day and whatever, and you are running the field. And if you're a man who has the capacity to love more than one woman, be honest about it. Yes, you won't love them the same way. That is for sure. Stop lying to the women. If you have the capacity and that woman, you have the obligation to tell the woman that, look, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I would like my family to be if you want a family. Don't justify it. And stop this thing of playing these silly Western ideas that you read in tabloids and funny books that you read, where you're talking about sexual compatibility. We are checking sexual compatibility. What nonsense is that? What sexual
We're
compatibility?
checking star signs if we
You're, che-
match.
you're checking star signs. You're checking sexual compatibility. Earlier on you said you light candles to clear the aura.
My aura, the energy in the room. Yeah.
It is not too far from perhaps our other traditions as we do in Africa, uh, mpepo,
Impepo.
or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
to clear the aura. What energies are you exchanging with these multiple people to whom you have no obligation? You're not taking any responsibility towards them.
Mm.
They are not taking any responsibility towards you. You are just a man who comes and goes. She is just a woman who comes and goes. You're exchanging this energy and you're exchanging it with whomever and who everyone else that you meet and bringing it back to each other, besides the sicknesses that you're going to bring. Stop these things of these foreign ideas about sexual liberation and it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. If you want these women in your life, be honest with them. If
Mm.
you're a woman who is open to that, be honest, because some of you are open to it. It's just that you hide it behind your selfishness. You hide it
Mm.
behind wanting material things, and that justifies you being with a man. What is the proof of this? You can be with a married man because he provides you with things, and there's that status, that allure that he has, that he is able to be responsible, that you attach yourself to. But sooner than later, you'll be saying to that man, no, I want to be the only one. And you want to break that family. But you know very well that you have this capacity. So it starts with being honest,
Mm.
taking personal responsibility,
Mm.
being behaving in a manner that is appropriate.
Mm.
It's really not complicated. We just
Yeah.
complicate it with
We just
the things
complicate it.
that we put in our minds, and
Yeah.
we want those things to be, we want to live in reality with alternative realities in our minds. That is called
Mm.
madness.
Well, yeah, certainly a mouthful, Mike. I'll read the comments and you can go check them out as well. If you have time, please respond to them. I think people still want to interact with you, but unfortunately, we've gone over an hour already. And
Mm.
I don't think it's fair to carry this beyond what it should go to. I really appreciate you making time and giving me your unpopular views on feminist, on women, on gender, on all these things. And I hope you can come back so that we really talk about these things. There's more to talk about, you know. But yeah, thank you so much for availing yourself.
Thank you for your
We
time.
appreciate it.
You can, your audience can find me on Brownie Love. We have a Brownie Love
Brownie
page.
love. Oh, okay,
Uh,
so they go there for love if they
yes.
wanna.
Well, Brownie
What,
Love,
what's happening there?
Brownie Love, it's for all of us brownies. All types of love you find there.
Yes.
And definitely you'll find a relationship if you're looking for a relationship. And hopefully we can help you to
Male to male
secure
relationships, female to female relationships,
uh,
all kinds of relationships.
all kinds of relationship. We choose
Okay.
not to be biased and judgmental. Um, so all kinds of relationships that you want, friendships, romantic relationships, but definitely as a community, we can help each other and show each other love. And there's a website, brownielove.co.za. Yes, and there are a whole lot of other movements out there. There's the Brownsons movement, which we
Mm,
support as well. Brownson's Market. Um,
mm.
and I think let me just cap it by saying follow Suzuki Lesoni on that one, on the economic front of things.
He must be here to talk about that himself. That one. He's on my guest list. He must just come. All right. I
Yes.
really appreciate it,
Thank
Mike.
you very
Say your
much for your time.
goodbyes.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.